Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of Poland Daily Travel. This one a little more frigid than any others as winter begins to just touch us, make itself felt. I'm standing in the center by the river Vistula, but on the Praga side, on the right bank of the river as it flows way up from the mountains in Krakow and then through the city to the north to Gdansk. As you can see, it makes a fairly formidable barrier to cross, especially under fire. But this is right in the center. And if you were the Soviet troops in August or September, early September 1944, then you would have found it, you would have found places you could cross, because it was fairly, at least in August, it was fairly weakly defended on the outskirts. The main troops were doing battle inside the city. And yet the Poles down in Cherniakov, just down the river here, were still holding the bank, the river bank, and waiting for the Russians. The Russians, meanwhile, were fighting for the bridgeheads to the south on the Vistula and to the north on the Nerev River, which flows into the Vistula at Modlin, north of Warsaw, the Modlin fortress, and now there's an airport you probably know about. That is where the greatest concentration of the German divisions, panzer divisions, were. They were north of Warsaw and south of Warsaw. And then this area weakly defended by a division, if it's the 62nd, I believe, German division, which had been largely destroyed on the Eastern Front fighting in Russia and reconstituted several times. This was the remnant, so it's a fairly weak division that was here, right in Praga, defending the outskirts of the city here. Fairly thinly spread as well. And yet the Soviets didn't make any moves until the 11th of September. So it's rather obvious that while they had their hands full on the outskirts, they had plenty of other troops that could have advanced at least to the riverbank and would have made a difference, at least advanced into Praga during August. By the 11th of September, the battle for Warsaw is virtually over. It lasted until weather like this at the beginning of October. And of course, with the surrender on the outskirts of Warsaw at Ozharów, just to the west. But it remains an eternal question as to why the Russians would allow this city, imagine it completely on fire, visible from many kilometers away by air, why the Soviet army would have stood by, at least not attacked the soft center, or at least occupied the left bank, or at least provided airfields for the British and American bombers to land after they made drops over Warsaw. Well, they did eventually, but as they did everything, when it was too late. When it was too late. When it was far, far too late.